like to welcome each and every individual to Business Sense for Young Women. Hi, my name is Mark Boersma, President of Synergy Solutions, and today we have a very, very special treat and a special guest on. Brianne, how are you doing today?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. So, Brianne, I don't know, would you like to tell a little bit about yourself and your family and being an executive virtual assistant, owning your own company as an EVA, or you want us to just dive into the lesson?
We can just dive in unless you need to know more about me.
Well, people are always interested in who our guests are, so tell us about your children. How many do you have and their ages?
Okay. Well, I have 3 girls. My oldest is 6 years old, and she is in 1st grade. And then I have a 4-year-old, and then I have I guess she's probably like 20 months old. She'll be 2 in December.
Nice, nice. And Brianne, do you know how unusual of a woman you are?
I've heard you say it, but I guess it's starting to sink in maybe more. I don't know.
Yeah, you're just very, very strange, and so in a good way, in a really cool way. And so a number of years ago, so we contract with Brianne's EVA company, so my company does, and so I don't know, there's this connection to her, and I'm like, Brianne, you're amazing. You're absolutely amazing. And she kind of laughed, and I said, so I'm just curious, do other men that you've worked with, business-wise, do they really like working with you? And she kind of laughed, kind of giggled, and said, yeah, probably. And I'm like, why? And she kind of laughed and said she wasn't sure. And I said, no. I want to really know. I really want to know why. And she's like, well, I don't know. I said, well, think back to your early memories, and is there something in your childhood that might have contributed to your amazing ability? So I'm her client, so I'm Brianne's client, and I want to go ahead and be the best client she ever has. I want to make sure that, that she's making as much money as she can make. I want her to go ahead and, have the kind of work that she enjoys. Like, she has got me wrapped around her, her finger. I mean, it's just unbelievable. It's like mesmerizing. She's like hypnotic. And I'm like, how does she have these capabilities? Because sometimes even my wife and my 4 daughters don't have it. My 4 granddaughters, they're pretty good at it now. But anyways, so she paused a little bit, and then she says, well, I remember when I was 10 years old, and my older brother, he was like, was he 13 or 14 at the time, Brianne?
He's 4 years older than me, so he's 14.
14. So 14, and she said, I just loved hanging around my brother. And I'm like, okay, younger sisters, I can get that. That's kind of cool. And she said, so it's interesting because, so here's a grown woman thinking back to when she was 10 years old and, relating an experience and connecting, like as a 10-year-old as a 10-year-old girl, like her brain, she's like, I really want to hang around my brother. I love being around him. I love hanging around him. So what she did is, and did anybody teach you to think like this, or do you have any idea where you came up with this type of thinking?
No one really said anything. It's just, I think just more because I'm more of a people pleaser. That's how I'm wired, I guess. So it's just kind of more me, I guess.
So what she did is she studied her brother, and she went ahead and found out, she told me, she says, well, what I did, Mark, is I studied all the things that he said he disliked about girls, and then I made sure that I wasn't any of those things. And I'm like, that's crazy. How does a 10-year-old girl figure that out? And then I thought, as she grew into a teenager, and then a young woman, and then a wife, and then a mother, and now, like, she's serving me in, like, the craziest, coolest way. And I remember when she started, we needed phone calling, and she went ahead and she said, hey, Mark, I'm not very good at phone calling. I'm willing to do it, so I'll do it as long as you need me to do it, but I'm not really good at it, and I don't honestly enjoy it. And I'm like, no problem. And I work really hard to figure out how to get that away from her. So I thought, wow, Brianne, any other thoughts, insights that you have, and why that's so amazing and different than, like your little 10-year-old brain figured things out that most grown women, don't know. Any thoughts on that, Brianne?
No, not really. I mean, because growing up, I never really thought anything of it. I just really looked up to him, and I figured he was like all men or boys in general, and so I guess what he said I figured was how everybody felt, so I wanted to not be something that nobody wanted. I don't know, like, I didn't want to do the things that everybody thought were dumb or wrong or whatever. But I guess I just thought everyone was kind of like that. It's just listening to what people say and kind of trying to please them or whatever.
Right? Like, what a great concept for a business owner. Like, I thought, I am so grateful. I've never met her brother, but if I did, I would shake his hand. I'd say thank you so much for helping your sister become the woman she is, the business owner she is. She's just magical. Like, I wish I could get, everybody should, think like that. It's just magical and servicing people. And then another magical moment happened. She was on a mastermind call, and something was said. So I think that was maybe before she had it maybe her first one, I think. Anyways, so I said something in reflecting back on my wife and her having kids, and then my oldest daughter having children, and I made the observation that young mothers are very selfish. But nobody tells them they're selfish because they work so hard in caring for their infant and everything. So I said it globally, that young women are selfish. Nobody tells them they're selfish because caring for your child, like, that's kind of innate, built into you, like wired into you. Like me protecting my 7 children, or me being willing to give up my life for my 7 children or my 6 grandchildren, like, that doesn't make me an amazing dad, I don't think. Like, that's just the ante up. That's just easy. Like, that's innate. It's built within me. So it's not like I'm a hero for doing that, And so, I don't know, a few weeks or months later, Brianne and I were just chatting, and I said, Brianne, like, what would you say, one of the biggest challenges you're facing in any area of your life? And she said, Mark, I've realized how selfish I am. And I'm like, what? What? I'm thinking, how could she come up with this conclusion? And then it dawned on me that she internalized what I said. It wasn't meant for her. Like, it wasn't meant for anybody. It was an observation. Like, I'm just saying, reflection, about men and how selfish we are, and how when we do something that's kind of wired in us, we think we're heroes when it's like, you're wired to do that. That's not that big of a deal. Like, it's just not. And then I thought of Brianne and how she internalizes things, so fast, so deep, and that gives her an edge in the business, in the marketplace. And not only in the marketplace, but with her husband, with her 3 daughters, with everybody she meets. Like, she doesn't get defensive. She didn't go ahead and say, Mark, are you talking about me? I wasn't. Like, it wasn't talking about her. I was just, so she internalized things. She absorbed things, you know, and then she took, like, the Grandpa Boersma principle when I was 8 years old. So I was 2 years younger than Brianne. And my grandfather said, and I don't remember what led up to it, but he said, you know, Mark, when somebody says something to you, there's some amount of truth. It could be 1% to 99%. It's not up to the individual to tell you how much it is. It's up to you to own it, to figure it out. So my guess is I was an 8-year-old, and he corrected me, I'm guessing, and I got defensive, angry, or upset, I'm guessing. And then he died when I was 9. And so I didn't know him real well. I probably only met him 5, 6 times. But that one thing had that tremendous impact, and I think it created a lifelong learner in me. So nobody ever said it again. He only told me once. And it, like, stuck in my little 8-year-old brain. Mark, you know, you're not that smart. You're not that caring. Like in the quantum thinking model. Like awakening, ownership, work, and care. Like my grandfather was part of giving that, you know, to me, that gift to me. Brianne, I know you got to run here in a couple minutes. Any other thoughts or ideas or tips for not only young women, but women in general, or, you know, in men too?
I guess the only thing that comes to mind was something that Rosanna asked me one time was how am I trying to teach my girls how to think like I thought, and I still haven't quite figured it out because I feel like I tell them the same kind of things, but it's not, I mean, they're young still, but just trying to figure out how to help them listen to others too, and trying to figure out the best, that concept too.
Yeah, and I think, you know, more is caught than taught.
Right.
You know, so I think when they see their mom, their grandmother, other people around them respond, that they will catch more of that based on more caught than taught. But I do believe that, you know, each child, you know, is woven together in the mother's womb. And I used to think that, you know, that I was given to my children for their benefit because, you know, to help them, to craft them, raise them up, to help them to become the adults that they were meant to be. But since that time, I've rethought at my position, and I've said, you know, I wonder if they were put in my life to help me become who I was supposed to be. So it's a very different mindset, you know, on that. So, anybody have any questions or thoughts for Brianne before she takes off? All right. Thanks, Brianne. Appreciate it. Appreciate you.
Yep. Thank you. Have a good one.
Okay. Bye. Okay. So, anyone else have any questions on that particular topic or concept? So, I wish that there was some way that I could help to communicate the depth of how unusual and powerful, you know, that is. And when we look at the personalities, like Brianne is a 55-55, I don't remember which, you know, but she's an analytic, amiable analytic. She's a driver, expressive driver. And so she's a, you know, and so it's like she's in sync. Like she's not a pushover. she's not just to serve. She's not just there to serve. She's got this amazing mind. It's just, really, really, really cool. So more could be, I'm sure more as the minds and so in future sessions. If you have any questions on anything we covered today, feel free to connect with the individual who invited you to participate in today's session. Share this with, other women and share it with men. Like that's not just something good for women, to go ahead and respect their boss and say, hey, they know what they're doing, or the owner of the company or your clients. They're really intelligent human beings. That's not a woman lesson. That's just a business lesson. That's just a business lesson. To have tremendous reverence for your clients, for your teammates, for people around. So, is this really business sense for young women? Well, yeah, but it's business sense for young men and older men and older women. And so as we gain more experience, we often become confident, overconfident, and we lose some of that magic that we had at 8 years old or 10 years old. So if you have any questions, do the 3-minute, for sure, do the 3-minute, survey on your personality. Then Life Masteries gives you a free, gift strategy session that gives you some cool insight. If you have any questions on anything that's covered, connect with the individual who invited you to participate in today's session, or you can call toll-free 888-230-2300. That's 888-230-2300. Or if you're calling in outside the U.S., you can call the U.S.-based number 630-393-9909. And always remember, we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.